Perfectly Normal, a podcast that brings you love, courage, and connection. And I'm your host, Michelle. I'm a life coach, artist, author, and pharmacist. I'm the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. It's a seminar and coaching company. Let's jump right into the show. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week. How's everyone doing? So today, I think I don't even remember how many days we've been practicing this safer at home. So what's coming up for me this week is that inspiration. Like a lot of people come to me and ask me for inspiration. And this morning I was doing a Google search because I'm updating my website. So if you have been visiting my website, by the way, it's at elevatelifecoaching.org. If you've been visiting my website, there's a section on my website I keep updating because since the lockdown, since the safer at home, like there's just been a lot of invitation to join other people's podcasts, and I've been on a lot of different podcasts, and they're all coming slowly, getting the recording done and sending out to me. So I keep updating them on my website so that you can access it. So it's under the In the Media section. So if you go to my website and there's a tab under the In the Media section, and you can listen to my story over and over on various different podcasts. And, I try to share my story each time I share my story, depending on which podcast and who their audience is. I may share some other tips that I may not share with one podcast. I be very conscious about who I'm talking to and what type of audience are listening. And I wanted to make sure that depending on who I'm talking to, and what is it that they're going through in their life, I want to provide something valuable for them in that moment of time, and that can apply for them in that case scenario. If I were to talk to a group of women and I share something about how to be a successful entrepreneur in the business world, they may not resonate with that tone of voice. They may not resonate with that type of wording, and so it's a different field, different strategy, and different tips that I want to share with everyone. So each time, each episode, each podcast that I get interview on, I will share something very different. But the core of my story, of course, those listeners who's been following me and listening to me for quite some time, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in and really allowing me to touch your heart and be in that space with you. So I really appreciate you. Thank you. But the core of the story, you probably have heard it so many times. It's about my accident. It's about that struggle of how I overcome that physical challenge and being here. But, that's something I keep sharing all the time, but that's not the main focus of this journey. The main focus is where I am now and how I'm able to using the skills to apply to myself and to be here. And I'm hoping that that's what you're walking away with, to have something very valuable, something that you can actually practice and use on your everyday life. And so earlier this morning, I was looking for inspiration, and the inspiration came on, and I was doing my search. And a couple of months ago, I was contributing to one of the magazines, and they asked for a couple of quotes, so there was a collection of quotes for women. They asked me to contribute, so I submitted a couple of my quotes to that magazine. So it's on Parade.com. So it's from parademagazine.com. And if you search on the parade.com, there's a list of 129 inspirational quotes for women. So if you're women and you're listening and you're looking for some kind of inspiration, maybe to write these quotes in your journal, if you're journaling a lot, this might be a great place where you can access that resource and you can put up 129. That's a lot of quotes. And if you scroll down to that list, I am at number 115. I like number 5. There's something about number 5. So my birthday is on the 5th of January, and that number 5 has always been big for me. I didn't even realize it was big, because if you think about number 5, how if you do a scale, which I love scaling question. I always ask my client, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? And typically people will give me a number. And I love the number 5 because it's a balance. When you're at number 5, it's not any closer to 10. It's not any closer to 1. It's just right there in the middle of it. It's almost representing a balance in the world, a balance in my life. So I actually love that number 5. So 115 is my quote. And the quote that they have decided to land on is, look for what sparks the fire in your heart. Go there, but more importantly, keep showing up. And that's my quote. So if you're looking for some inspirational things to do, and maybe you wanted to use this, print this out, and just, if you're journaling, I love journaling. So a lot of times, I look for quotes and that I can include that inspire me in my journal, so I can include it in my journal. So that's a great resource for you. Parade.com. And if you search under Google, then search inspirational quotes for women from Parade magazine. So today I want to talk about inspiration. Inspiration is something that I keep hearing myself talking over and over this week. Earlier I had, today my whole day has been talking. I never realized how much I talk. And I realized today I just kept talking. And there's a lot of interview and there's clients in between. So I just kept talking. I haven't been stopping talking. But as I'm talking, on a couple of interviews, I realized that, in that moment when I was on top of Machu Picchu, what I found was inspiration. And that was the word that came for me in that moment. And for the longest time, I was looking for words. What did I find in Machu Picchu? What did I find that I was looking for? And that was the sense of purpose, that purpose and feeling fulfilled in doing things. And when I was describing all this story, I realized that that's what I found. I found my inspiration. I found that I am inspiring others, but at the same time, others are inspiring me to want to move further. And I remember on that trail, on that Inca trail, on that hike to Machu Picchu, there are so many people who inspire me every step of the way. And had I not meet those people, our path had not crossed, if they didn't pass me and gave me a thumbs up, if they didn't pass me to clap as I passed me, I probably would have struggled a lot more. And this is what inspiration do for you. People are watching you, and as you're acting, as you're behaving on an everyday basis, at the same time, you're providing that inspiration for others. So the moment that you collide together, the universe kind of just sent us into moment. And when you meet that person, when you have a brief moment of encounter, whether it's eye contact, whether it's a gesture, whether it's smile, the moment that you contact each other, you are inspiring each other in some way. There's something about that human interaction. It's just very natural for us to connect immediately. And this is what I love about vulnerability, because the moment that we let our guard down, the moment that we open ourselves up to allow others to walk into our life, to walk into our story, to listen to our story, or we're listening to other people's story as they're talking, as they're sharing, we knock our wall down. And when we knock our wall down, that connectivity start to flow in, that bonding start to create and start to building. And that's a beautiful thing about inspiration. And every leader in the world has the ability, or they have the capacity to inspire others, and so that others will follow. No matter what our opinion is to some leaders, whether we believe that they're a good leader, whether we believe that they're not good leaders in some way, they all have that ability to inspire others to take action, inspire others to follow them. And that ability is present. It's available to every one of us. We just have, our other beliefs and other opinion, other judgment is come into play of how we use the ability to inspire others, to influence each other in such a way that either, we lead them to a greater good, or we lead them to a place where we don't know where we're going. And I don't want to get into too much of the politics here, but you know what I mean. So if we were to see ourselves as the leader, as someone who is capable to inspire others in taking actions, then my question to you, my dear listeners, is that what is it that you're doing today that would inspire others to take action? What is it that you're doing today that will show, perhaps it's your children at home, maybe it's kids who's running around in your house, and you're ready to, call it a day and just quit. If we are considering ourselves as the leader, then what type of action are we taking on a daily basis to inspire them wanting to reach for that greater good, wanting to reach the higher goal? And I think that's a very important concept for us, to see ourselves as being the leader in our life, not only to inspire others, but at the same time also seeing ourselves as the leader of our own life. What kind of action do I want to take today to be and live in such an alignment into, what we stand for? And I think there's a lot of, things that's going on right now that, people have different opinion about, and people have, stand for different things and perspective. In the time of chaos, in the time of crisis, we all go through these moments where, we have a lot of anger, we have a lot of worry, we have a lot of self-doubt, we have all these negativity going on. But if you were to consider yourself as the leader, and you are here today to inspire others to follow you, to take action, what type of behavior would you be willing to show up? Would you be committed to show up and inspire those to follow you? So I think this is going back inward to really focus on, what is it that we can do on individually as one person, as me, and what can I do to contribute to a greater good, to bring out that betterness of the other person. And whether it's, things that you do at home, or things that you interact with others online, virtually, or, just within yourself. Like, what is it, some of the actions that you can do to get yourself into that inspiration and get yourself into that taking that action mode? I think this is something that's very important to learn more about and to discover. And now that we're here, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to really turn inward and really to do a lot of self-reflection and see how we can show up in the world and being the leader who inspires others to follow. So I think this is very important, and this is something that I wanted to share with you. And hopefully by sharing this with you, it will inspire you to want to take some actions today. So I will see everyone next week. Have a great weekend. Hey, thanks for joining me this week on Perfectly Normal. Make sure to visit my website at elevatelifecoaching.org. And if you found values in this show, I appreciate a rating on iTunes and Spotify. Or you can simply tell a friend about the show. That will really help me too. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. And be sure to tune in next week for our next episode.